Hi, I'm Kristen Henderson. Today I'm going to tell you about a project to forecast river flow rates in the Baden River in Colombia, South America. Water resource managers would like to forecast river flow rates, to anticipate conditions to meet drinking water and municipal needs, to plan reservoir releases for things like irrigation, navigation, recreation, and ecology, to prepare for elevated flow rates to mitigate flooding risk, to understand seasonal patterns and rainfall-driven changes, and to better communicate expectations to both regulators and communities. I use the river flows data. It's 3 years of daily data collected from 2006 to 2009. The response variable is river flow rate in cubic meters per second, and there's an additional variable rainfall. Here I plot the river flow rate over time, and you'll notice a yearly cyclic trend to the data, where the flow rate starts low early in the year, rises mid-year, and drops off again later in the year, and this repeats through the time series. The autocorrelations are slowly damping, and the spectral density has a low frequency peak at about 1/365 or 0.0027, which suggests a yearly seasonal component that we saw in the realization. This also suggests that the data are non-stationary, and that's because the mean depends on time. I started with univariate modeling. I conducted a Dickey-Fuller test for a unit root, which rejected a unit root with a p-value of 0.01. This made me at least consider a stationary model, so I looked at an ARMA 5.1. I also looked at non-stationary models, an ARUMA with an S equals 365, an ARUMA with a non-stationary factor that corresponds to a frequency of 1/365, and a signal plus noise model. I selected the model order using AIC rather than BIC because those models had lower ASE values. Here are my two selected univariate models, the ARMA 5.1 on the top and the signal plus noise model on the bottom. Here I plot the spectral density of the actual data in black, and then I simulate data using each model and plot those spectral densities either in blue or in green, and you can see that they match the data very well. I also show you the model specifications on the right-hand side of the screen. I forecast on 3 horizons, a 1 week, a 1 month, and a 1 year horizon, and here I'm showing you the ASE and the rolling window RMSE for the 7-day horizon. Both models, the ARMA in blue and the signal plus noise in green, have very similar values, with the ARMA having slightly lower ASE value. The 1 month horizon, both models look very similar, but on the 1 year horizon, the signal plus noise has much lower and better ASE and rolling window RMSE values. I also check for whiteness in the residuals, both with a visual test and with the Young box test, and this fails to reject that the residuals are white. Here are the forecasts for the ARMA model in blue on the top and the signal plus noise in green on the bottom. This is on the 7-day horizon, the 30-day horizon, and the 1 year horizon. And you'll notice on the 1 year horizon, the models look very different, the forecasts look very different. The stationary model, the ARMA model, tends back to the mean, where the signal plus noise model is able to capture the yearly cyclic trend in the data. I move on to multivariate modeling, and I start by plotting the cross correlation between rainfall and river flow. I notice that at lag 0, the cross correlation is the strongest, so I use this for further modeling. Here I'm going to highlight the models and horizons that the different multivariate model types perform the best. So this is the vector autoregressive modeling. I use both a seasonal VAR, a VAR2, and a VAR5. And at the top, I'm showing you the VAR2 on a 30-day horizon, which performed very well. Here, the multiple linear regression with correlated errors model. I model the errors with an AR1. And I'm highlighting here on the bottom left the MLR forecast on a 7-day horizon, which performed the best of any model that I had on that horizon. Here I'm showing you an MLP model, and I do this 2 ways. One, for the 7-day horizon with a univariate model, and on the longer horizons with multivariate models using rainfall as an explanatory variable. And here on the bottom right, I'm showing you the 1-year horizon with the multivariate MLP. I then combine all these kinds of models, the ARMA, the signal plus noise, the MLR, and the selected VAR and MLP depending on horizon. And I make ensemble models out of these. And at the top, I'm showing you the ensemble forecast on the 30-day horizon. And this was the best model forecast for 30-day horizon. To look at the ASE values between these models, we can look at the 7-day horizon. The MLR performs the best here with the lowest ASE, while the MLP performs the worst. On the 1-month horizon, the ensemble model outperforms the others, but the others are quite similar. And on the 1-year horizon, the signal plus noise model does the best, with the stationary ARMA model and the VAR model doing the worst. Here are the preferred models. On a 1-week horizon, good for things like mitigating flooding risk, the MLR with AR1 errors performs the best. On the 1-month horizon, the ensemble model performs the best. And for predicting long-term seasonal trends on the 1-year horizon, the signal plus noise model does the best. Thank you very much for your time and attention, and I'm happy to take questions by email.